Hey guys, welcome back to Ridiculous Radio. I'm Conrad. Um, Tonight we'll be having Brian Watkins on. He he owns Hell's Creek Reptiles. He breeds like dwarfs, super dwarfs, and I believe also does some stuff with like fossils and paleontology type stuff. So we'll get into that too. Pretty exciting. Um, People show up. This is I don't know if you guys met Dino. He's pretty tired right now. But he's probably just gonna chill. Yeah, I think he's gonna be down there for the rest of the night. I was gonna see if he was gonna eat a banana for you guys live. Clogged out. Oh, I did receive in that carpet python this week. I let her get settled in a little bit, fed her today. Um, Hopefully I'll have her out for like some video, some footage Tuesday or Wednesday, and put that together by the end of the week. I think Josh is going to be running late tonight. It shows up as part of the green screen. That's nuts. Ouch. Maybe. Oh, here's Brian. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Josh is probably going to be running a few minutes behind on the stream, but we can always get started. So,
Okay.
you breed dwarf and super dwarfs, right? Retics.
Uh, yes. So right now, mainly super dwarf crosses and some mainland stuff that I have in my collection right now. Yeah, but no pure dwarf or jams or anything. But a lot of my super dwarf crosses have a little bit of jam in them.
All right. All right. So, when did you start getting into reptiles, I guess?
Long time ago, I remember having a pet snake when I was like 11 years old. We caught a rat snake or something like that in the backyard, or like a garter snake. My mom let me have one or two when I was younger, and then I didn't keep any reptiles for a long time until like I was probably in my early 20s, when I had my own place. And, I went from an iguana to, maybe a Burmese python, a few reptiles here and there, geckos. And then I really got bit by the bug and I started collecting a lot. I went from like one reptile to like 10 different stuff. And this was a long time ago, probably like 98, and I ended up breeding some chameleons, some panther chameleons, some berms, and crested geckos. Those are pretty easy to breed. But yeah, that long time ago. And then I got out of reptiles. I got I got married, divorced, and then as a lot of people do, they take a break and um, then they get back into it. So yeah, um, I got back into like retics, mainly doing. I had a pair of retics like in 90, 99, and they were just normals. Nobody had any albinos.
Yeah.
So and tigers were like $3,000 or $4,000. So no, you can really, just your average hobbyist couldn't afford one of those. And so I bought some from Triple L and kept those for a while. And then when I had to get rid of my stuff, I sold them to somebody. But when I got back into retics, like in the early 2000s, I got some super jams from Mike Wilbanks, and that was like right when Superdwarf started to come out. Jams were kind of a new thing. And I remember Bob Clark, he made some jam cross. He called them dwarf retics. He made some albinos, and those were pretty expensive, and they're really cool at the time when they first came out. Dwarfs, nobody really knew how big they got, but they were saying they would get about 10, 12 feet. So, but yeah. But I raised a couple of snakes up. Those snakes, I bought a pair of them, super jams. I raised those up. I bought some dwarf albinos, retics. They were pretty expensive at the time. I got a pair of those, and then I started collecting more and more, and I started wanting to get into breeding. And some stuff happened in my life. I had to kind of get out of reptiles again. And, yeah, I took a really long break, but I've always kind of like had one or two snakes, just one kind of reptile, of some sort. So, but yeah, I I remember in 2000, like 13 or something, I bought a pair of super dwarfs off Rodney Bolek, and that was like I've kept reptiles continuously since then, um, but now I have a lot more than I did, when I got those snakes from Rodney. But
Do
I
you,
raised those up, huh?
do you remember what locality those were?
Those were Kalatoa and Madu Cross.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that was right around. There was word about the ban, and people were really buying up stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna grab these before they get banned. And, they stopped importing them, but people are still keeping retics. So, um, you know, but yeah, I had that. I think the male died. He ended up dying. I forget how, but he passed away, and then I raised the female up and actually bred her, and she got egg bound. That's a bummer, but
Yeah.
so yeah, now I have, I don't know, maybe close to 30 retics. I have about probably 8 adults, six, I think, 5 or 6 adult females right now, and one just laid a clutch of eggs. My orange ghost stripe, she laid a nice big clutch of 36 eggs. All of them were fertile. And I don't know if you can see the cages behind me, but this snake behind me is a super dwarf Molly Tiger double head that I bred last year, and she laid eggs in February. They hatched in May. So I don't have any of her. I have like 1 or 2 of her babies left. And then this one up here is a female that Brian Fontaine. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but he brought her over last week, and I put in my male super dwarf. She's a super dwarf platy tiger, het and area possible het albino. And I put her in with my purple super dwarf purple het snow, and they locked up like within an hour. So they're chilling out right here right now. So we're expecting hopefully get some eggs out of that pairing too.
Hopefully 2021 will be a better year, huh?
What's that?
I said hopefully 2021 will be a better year.
Yeah, right. I mean, definitely for sure. Yeah, we're planning. There's supposed to be some shows. Actually, I mean, in other places in the country, I guess they're having them, but I don't think there's any here locally that have gone on. But and I think next April there's some shows going on, and then I don't know about the Reptile Super Show if that's going to happen in January. It's January. I'm like, who knows with the COVID. So
Right.
who else is here?
I'm Josh.
Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah, I'm running a little bit late.
I'm Brian.
But,
How you doing, man?
where are you located at? You said there
I'm
wasn't a
in,
lot.
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Yeah. Where are you located at?
Pittsburgh.
Okay, cool. Right
So,
on.
yeah, everything, for the most part, our shows are still open, but it's just there's different rules and regulations and all that.
Right.
But you being in, California, that, yeah, I'd feel like they're a little more strict.
There's nothing. Yeah, no shows going on here. Like we've just barely started having outdoor dining. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. Well, maybe for past month or something. I just got back to work. I work on contract. Sometimes I work on contract. Right now I'm on staff, but I was working on contract at a hospital. I got canceled like right around April. So I was unemployed for a little while. I mean, I had my reptiles that I was selling, which business actually had to be pretty good. But yeah, I've been unemployed. I just recently got back to work about a month and a half ago. So, things are picking back up here, but it's just strange. Like you're saying, 2020 is definitely a strange year, man.
Yeah. Yeah. In every state, it seems like something's different.
Yeah.
And realistically, the same thing's happening in every state, but everyone's doing something different.
Well, that kind of makes sense. I mean, LA is pretty international, compared to a lot of other places in the country. I mean, the West Coast, I don't know. I'm just surprised this COVID's not worse than it is with all the people demonstrating and all this craziness happening. But it seems to be calming down. I mean, I personally, I don't know anybody who's gotten sick from it. I've had friends of friends, that type of thing. But even at work, I work in a hospital. I haven't gotten sick, and I don't know none of my coworkers have. But we know we're an orthopedic hospital, so we don't deal with that kind of stuff. But at other hospitals, I'm sure there's a lot of patients with COVID. But it's kind of seems like it's calming down. So hopefully by the end of the year, be back to normal.
It'd be nice. It'd be really nice.
So what do you guys want to know about my snakes?
So what made you go with dwarf and super dwarf?
Okay, so I've had some big retics before. They're not for everybody, and I love reptiles and I love reticulated pythons, but I like to keep a lot of them. So for me, having a smaller size retic means that they're easier to care for. Everything, all the above. They're more like boas, I guess, as far as cost of feeding them and the room they take up, and I don't know. I think there's just a trend, towards scaling down retics. You know what I mean? And the only way to do that is to breed them into super dwarf blood. Just over generations, increasing the percentage.
Yeah, because there's no way I don't think I could deal with 30 plus adult retics at once.
Yeah, I mean, something like that belongs in the zoo. Yeah, or if you have like a really nice basement or something, you have a lot of money, yeah, sure. But I agree with you. 30-foot retic that's not like your typical.
No. Yeah, it just the number of them. If you're a breeder with, they said you had what you said 30, 36 super dwarfs or dwarfs.
Yeah, something like that. Most of them are super dwarf or super dwarf cross. I have like about a handful mainly retics, but my biggest retic that I have is orange ghost stripe, and she's about 13 feet. And they're not known for getting huge. I don't have any, the silhouette or anything. Some people are really into that. I'm not into huge snakes like that. I don't want to keep anything like that in my house.
Yeah. You start because I'm up to, I have 12 mainlands, which I'm not going to guarantee their size because I actually feed them on a regular. I for the most part, how would you put it? I don't feed to get them giant.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably my limit. Is 12 as far as mainlands go, because you still want to be able to offer them the 8 to 12-foot enclosures at least, and would like to do even more for them. But yeah, I definitely couldn't see doing more than what I already have as far as mainlands.
Well, I had a 18-foot-ish, something like that. Retic. This was back in like 2005 or six or something like that. I bought a head albino. It was like a yellowhead. It wasn't a volley or anything. It was just like a yellowhead off of Jay from Prehistoric Pets. He shipped me one up. It was like a year and a half. So when I got it, it was probably like 13 feet. But it had a really big appetite, and I had a really, cheap rabbit supplier, so I was just tossing the thing rabbits left and right. And it got big, and I was keeping it in a 6 foot vision. I'm like, this is, taking this thing out just to clean the cage. It was tough. I sold her to somebody, and he had more space, and, was able to take care of that snake. But yeah, dude, that's something that's a problem for me. I don't want a big animal like that in my house. So
It's a workout.
that's what I like the super dwarf stuff.
Yeah, and it ends up a workout at the end of the day. Just moving them around, cleaning.
Right.
I break a sweat, But
Well, I have 6 foot cages. I got AP. I think they're what T whatever 25s or whatever. They're the 6 foot by 30-inch ones, and they're pretty good. But I couldn't see keeping anything bigger than 13, 14 foot snake in these cages.
yeah,
18 foot snake in a cage like this, no way.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you couldn't really, like, sometimes with the smaller snake you can kind of nudge them to one side or the other to clean the cage. The snake like that, you got to take it out, and it's just when it goes to the bathroom, like, fill up with urine. It's so gross.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's definitely fun. Yeah,
But it's cool, man.
their craps are the size of your arm, or bigger.
Yeah. So I I don't have any mainland. I guess the orange ghost stripe is the only mainland that I have. I don't know if you want to call it a dwarf. When they first, when before Kevin even produced anything from his original orange ghost stripe, he was calling it a dwarf. So now I guess they've been outcrossed with a lot of other type of blood, localities, whatever mainland blood types, and they're a lot bigger now. But she's probably my biggest snake. She has no dwarf that I know of in her. I actually got that snake from Andy Dietz. I don't know if it's, how it's related to any other snakes from Nerd, but the one I got from him turned out she's really, really nice snake. Perfect attitude. But everything else is either 50% super dwarf or higher that I have, and a majority of the snakes that I have now are yearlings. So I'm raising up a lot of different morphs that are crossed into the super dwarf bloodlines, and and some pure stuff that I have that I want to breed, kind of mix it up and increase the percentage, and carry on the different genetic morphs, so codom seems to go a lot. It goes a lot faster than your recessive stuff.
Yeah.
So something that's like a 50% super dwarf that platy, tiger, sunfire, whatever. You breed that to a pure super dwarf, automatically all those traits are going to go up a higher percentage. Super dwarf with a smaller snake. So, but yeah, it takes a long time. It's not. This is just something for fun that I like to do. I mean, I used to have a full-time job. I'm just working part-time now, but that's partly because of this. It takes up a lot of my time now. But,
All right. So is there like any like specific morphs that you're like shooting for, or
well, I think in the U.S. we're kind of limited. Like, we can't import anything new. So with the super dwarfs, it's just super dwarf hides would be really nice. But that's, I know there's 50% heads out there, but they're hard to find if there are any that are still alive, or anybody's willing to get rid of them. There's 50% super dwarf head anthraxes that are out there. I'd love to do all kinds of really cool stuff. Super dwarf ghost would be cool, with a lot of other codon stuff. But what I'm working with now mainly is just albino and airy, motley, tiger. I want to start getting more, I want to get some marble, super dwarf with the marble. I like Aneri. Aneri seems to be a really cool gene, and it works well with a lot of the pattern mutations. I don't know what you guys think, but
Yeah, I have an Anri Golden Child male, so
Yeah.
But no, the marble stuff, like you said, marble. That's one thing I want to add because it ends up mixed with anything like marble, purple albino. I think they're just sick looking. The patterning and everything to them is just awesome.
Right. I agree. And with the marble tiger, I think it's really cool looking pattern too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You guys want to see some snakes? I can bust out some of my animals here if you want to check them out.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Cool, man. Hold on.
Yeah, so the original plan was to try and feed this guy and stream, but he's like really tired. So
I don't know if you can see.
There we go. Yeah, it clears up.
So this is a purple motley, super dwarf purple motley possible het canary that I hatched out in May. This is a female that I kept back, but she's a pretty cool snake. You can really see she looks almost snowish. It's weird. The hets look really canary-ish.
Yeah, it seems to have lightened stuff up.
Yeah. Put her back.
yeah, she's gorgeous.
I got a. I'll break out. I have a Molly Tiger purple snow. That's really nice. There's a super dwarf. They're just. It's kind of hard to see on this camera, on my phone, but well, can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I got this one.
Pretty good.
This is a pure super dwarf. I got this from Daniel Solis, and this is a female. I got a few of these that I'm raising up, but they take a long time to mature, man. I guess it's about 5 or 6 years, for them to really be able to produce eggs. Oh, there we go. So
Very pretty.
yeah, and it sucks because you can't get any fresh blood from the wild now. Yeah, so. But hopefully, I don't know, maybe one day they'll open that up.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the stuff that you see, like Europe have, I think, who is it? Like Jacob Cazal, I think I think he calls it like Aztec.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. That's a really cool gene. Yeah, they're lucky because I don't know if they have any restrictions for importation, but I see a lot of people over there getting stuff. They have a lot of like real locality stuff from those little islands, and they're really kind of like generations ahead of us. I think I've seen some cool. I think they have super dwarf Aztecs now, or whatever. I know they have super dwarf.
Really?
Yeah, there's some cool stuff that they're producing over there, and they can get fresh blood, so fresh super dwarf blood. But yeah, man, Aztec's cool. I think it's kind of like a Molly form of Molly. I'm not sure. I've never seen one in person. Anyway, this is a Enary Ultra Ivory super dwarf. Yeah, it's a female.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
What's the age on that one?
What's that?
What would be the age on that one?
This one is probably like 18 months.
Okay.
A year and a half. I mean, this is from Bob Clark. I bought a pair. They're 2019. They're probably I'm feeding these up too. So, but she's probably like 6 feet. But she's really thin, really slender. I mean, for a female, I mean, a mainland at this age would at least, the way I fed her, I've fed her. I mean, for a female, I mean, a mainland at this age would at least, the way I fed her, I've fed her, the way I feed her, I fed her it would be pretty big. You know, if this was the mainland and I fed it the same way, it'd probably be close to 10 feet, you know. But yeah, she's cool, man, and small. I have her sister too. There's some of her babies, her clutch mates out there. I've seen them for sale. Still, I think Bob ran out of them. He sold out of them. But cool snakes, man. These are really nice. The only thing is, Bob wouldn't tell me what locality they are. I don't even know if he knows or if he does. He's not telling anybody. But yeah, these are cool. I'd want to breed that with like a marble tiger or something. Canary, make an area platy marble tigers. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope.
I say it seems like anything added with marble added in is just they're gorgeous.
Agreed. Yeah, I would love to see that like in snow. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Awesome pattern. Yeah, definitely.
'Cause I love anything motley or like I said marble. That's pretty much what catches my eye.
Let me hold on a second. I'm gonna grab that snow molly tiger here.
All right. You still feeding them?
Yeah. It'll probably be 3 o'clock in the morning whenever I'm done.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
Here, let me
there you go.
wow.
very nice.
So this is a 50% super dwarf, like 6% jamp, Motley Tiger Snow, and I got this from Casey. Casey produced this. Casey Ray, I forget her last name. Williamson. She lives in Colorado. She produced a few of these, and I got a pair, male and female pair from her. I was lucky. But I'm gonna breed this. This is a male, and he'll be ready to go, you know, by next year, a year from now. And I have a Motley Tiger Super Dwarf double het. I'm gonna put him to unrelated, so produce some really cool looking Super Dwarf snows.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this guy's cool, and I'm getting a female pretty soon, and it'll be fun to raise that up. This thing is just sick. It's hard to see it.
Yeah, I know. The lighting sometimes kills it.
There.
So oh, all right. Yeah, there we go. I think if you like black some of the light out, like we can somewhat see it around your wrist. Yeah,
That's what it sucks with taking pictures, anything just to get good lighting and everything for them. Because pictures and stuff never do the animal justice.
Yeah, this thing is like it's wicked. It's like highlighter yellow and pink, and with really cool looking eyes. Yeah, it's really really cool looking snake.
Oh yeah.
I got another male snow Motley that I produced, and so yeah, I'm building up some cool stuff here. Arsenal of genetics, you know.
Oh yeah.
So,
I don't know if did Conrad ask you like what got you into keeping?
I don't know. You know, some people are into cars. Some people are into, you know, cards or whatever hobby, comic books. I don't know. I just like I've always had a fascination. First, I think it started out with dinosaurs. I loved dinosaurs when I was a kid, and you know, reptiles are naturally like they look like dinosaurs. Some of them do, and I just kind of naturally like gravitated towards liking reptiles. And for some reason, I think just when I was a kid, I used to watch nature, you know, on PBS and Nova, and I really like the nature shows. And I think all kids kind of get into that. And there's something about keeping reptiles that you learn. It's interesting to learn about their husbandry and take care of them, and all the stuff about the wild, how they are in the wild. I don't know. It's cool. Like to learn about reptiles and stuff, and I don't know. Some people are into fish and coral. I don't know. I've tried keeping coral reefs, tanks, and just too much work. Retics are cool, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Different colors, everything. There's something for everyone. Yeah.
Well, I think too, like I've kept reptiles long enough to where I know what I want to keep. You know, I want to keep something I don't have to feed every day. Something that's not, I don't have to clean its cage every day, right? Like lizards, you
Yeah.
know, they eat every day, they eat bugs. I don't want to keep crickets in my house, you know, and retics, you know, they're relatively low maintenance, you know, and but I think they're a lot more fun than keeping ball pythons, you know. So yeah, that's why I pick retics. They're they're the perfect pet snake.
Yeah. Yeah. I could agree. I pass it up between retics and berms. I love berms because they're big, they're impressive, but they like to hang out. As far as take a 13-foot retic compared to a 13-foot berm, the berm's kind of gonna chill, be a little bit more laid back compared to 13-foot retic. Just kind of seems to want to knock everything over and climb and get
Right.
up and stuff. But they're still, I love retics. Like there's just a complete difference in both of them.
I don't know. Berms are cool. I think the reason why I really got into to retics more was because, you know, back in the day there was only like albino berms and labyrinth berms. And there was cool morphs, but they were all kind of like you know.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like there was more to do with the retics. But you're right. They're behaviorally, you know, berms are kind of, they just seem that retics have more energy. They're more, I guess, nervous and flighty. Some of them can be, but yeah, you're right. I mean, but I think at the same time, like I don't know about if berms are like this, but retics definitely are the ones. They know who you are. You know, they recognize you, and I think over time they get to know you and their whatever in a way, and they're more in tune with their environment. I think, I don't know, they just seem more intelligent than a berm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the guy we had on last week, he had brought up that it seems like they know who the main person is in their life. You hand it off to someone else, and it always seems to try to come back. And that happens a lot with retics. I'll hand them off to someone to hold, and somehow they're working their way back towards you.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot going on in their heads.
Yeah, they're definitely, you know, they're pretty smart. I think scrub pythons are pretty intelligent too. They're right up there in the same, you know, same level, I think, as far as intelligence.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm into other reptiles though. You know, I want to start when I'm in a different, you know, living situation. You know, I eventually like would love to have, you know, like a facility or something. You know, everybody wants that. You know, their own breeding facility. But you know, maybe some kind of barn or something on a property converted or whatever. But you know, yeah, it would be cool to get into other reptiles. I like breeding other stuff too. And you know, I've always wanted to keep frilled dragons. You know, chondros are cool. You know, geckos. Leopard geckos are actually pretty cool. I like leopard geckos.
I was given 6 of them, and so that's
cool.
whenever you said something about feeding something every day, it's like, yep, that's it's a whole different world, you know.
Yeah, but they seem to have like kind of more personality. I don't know. They're more interactive. You know, they're like the perfect pet for kid. I guess like, you know, a kid. You know, 10 or 11-year-old kid. You know, and adults too. But yeah, there's other stuff I want to breed, and but retics right now, I think I'm just focusing only on that, and it seems to be paying off because I don't have to worry about other stuff like going to the store every day and getting crickets or whatever, you know.
I definitely. Yeah, I got lucky. My brother, he breeds dubia roaches and all that kind of stuff. So I just get him, deliver stuff. But it's a whole different world from just something that you clean, every so often and feed every week or every other week.
I've I had like a little group of frilled dragons that I was raising up, and I did that. I was like, man, I'm tired of going and buying crickets or whatever. I was starting to order roaches and stuff online, and you got to keep them in these tanks, and they stink, dude. They smell, and they get out, and yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. I'd love to have, like a big group of frilled dragons, and nice display. Like the Reptarium, that place is awesome. The way Brian's got that set up,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a perfect. It's like a reptile zoo. Totally nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm right there in Michigan, and I gotta figure out how to make it down there sometime still. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's definitely been on my list of things to do. But
Yeah, it's nice to see something like that because even like the Pittsburgh Zoo, whenever I was a kid, that's what I went there for. I'd spend most of my day in the reptile section, and
Yeah.
they got rid of it. Now I take my kids there, and they're into snakes because they grew up around it. They don't have them. They have 3 or 4 in this one building, but they have all this other stuff in there too. I'm like, I just want the reptile house, back. But there's nothing really like that anymore.
Well, the LA Zoo kind of sucks. I haven't been there since I was a kid, but I mean they don't like the zoo's got a really rockin' reptile section if they have a Komodo dragon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something like that. But there's no Komodo dragons here in LA. I can't think of any other zoo around here that does. Maybe San Diego Zoo. I don't know.
San Diego Zoo is
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
I was there when I was younger, and I had a blast. And it takes you the whole day to get through.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But yeah, it seems like a lot of places, even like pet stores. Whenever I was a kid, I used to like to go just look at the reptiles at the pet stores, and a lot of them seem to not even deal with reptiles because more or less people don't. The workers don't want to take care of them or are scared of them or don't know how to take care of them. And it kind of sucks. It'd be nice if more people got into it and learned more about them.
Well, I remember like in the mid '90s, the internet is kind of a new thing or accessible to your everyday person, and you buy a computer, and if you were into reptiles or pets or anything like that, you had to go to a pet store, and like you said, I would go check out the reptile section, and they'd always have a few ball pythons, an albino berm, and your other stuff, iguanas, and I remember looking on King Snake, in 1997 or something like that, and that was like one of the first places you could look online to buy reptiles, and that was pretty cool. And I think I did end up buying a few things online, and that was a bad thing, dude, because the next thing I knew, I had a lot more reptiles I really wanted. They just delivered them to my house, and I had this whole jungle, But yeah, dude, those were the days back then. I mean, but things have changed now. I mean, the whole pet industry, especially the reptile industry, a lot of it's online or shows. I don't even know how old is Daytona? That show in Daytona. I mean, is that probably mid '90s, right? I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even we've talked about before the prices you used to see back in the day for some stuff. You'd be able to buy a normal Burmese for $20, stuff like that shows.
Yeah.
But it's definitely crazy because whenever I was younger, everyone would come to my house. Oh, it's like a petting zoo. You can pick out different snakes to hold or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, back then it was just everything was different.
I remember looking at a reptiles magazine. I don't know what year, sometime in the late '90s. I don't remember when Bob Clark first produced. He imported an albino retic, and I don't know. I think it took him a long time to make heads and then actual produce visual albinos. But when he did, it was like a huge thing. It was in the Reptiles had this magazine issue, that featured it, and I remember looking around to see how much they cost, and I was like $7,500. What the hell, dude? Who's going to spend that kind of money on that? But and that was before. I mean, it was just an albino. I don't even think maybe he called it a lavender or something. I don't know, but
I think
I have the magazine somewhere. It's
yeah,
box.
yeah, and but I remember even like when the first albino tigers were being produced, or even the first albino super tigers, they were going for a lot of money. And but look at them now. I mean, an albino tiger you can get for $300 or $400. That in early 2000s, maybe 2005, whatever, you could easily spend $4,000 or whatever for an albino tiger. But yeah, I mean, That's what would be cool if we had more, if we could import stuff, fresh morphs, and it would be really good for the U.S. retail market. But until that happens, I think what's that?
Oh
I
no,
said,
I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, the only thing, like how we were talking the last stream, was even just importing other stuff captive bred from other places. Even if it's not wild caught, at least bringing something that we don't have here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's pecan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. There's that
Yeah.
more. There's harlequin. I don't know if that's the same thing as jag, but there's a lot of stuff in Indonesia since the ban that these new morphs that are popping up, and some of them are pretty badass. Chainsaw. I don't know. I guess, or jigsaw. It's called jigsaw. There's a few people in the States that have those. But like rainbow or ocelot, that's a pretty cool gene.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's on top of one of my favorites, just out of the price range of being able to get.
Yeah, well, for a lot of people too, who's got 25 grand to spend on a female, right? I think that's what females, if you can find one. I don't even know if you can find any males. But I don't know. For anything like that, I'd be more interested in bringing it into super war blood, which I'm sure there's already people who are doing that or trying to do it. But yeah, I mean, man, I remember when there would be a lot of freshly wild caught super dwarves on king snake and fauna, and they were pretty cheap. You get, I don't even think they were really disclosing which islands they were coming from. I mean, it used to be you could only get super dwarves from a few people in the United States, and like Bob Clark, Mike Wilbanks, and maybe a handful of other people. And but when they really came on the scene, nobody was saying where they were coming from. They were just like this undisclosed, unnamed island, unnamed islands. And then other people started importing them and telling people where they were coming from. Next, you're seeing like other importers importing Kalatoas and Kiowatis and all this other stuff. And they were like $350, for a male or something like that. Maybe $450 for a female. But they were freshly wild caught, and I don't know if you ever did you keep any of those back then?
No, nothing as far as that.
Have you ever handled a wild caught super dwarf? I mean, they don't like to be handled at all.
I can assume not.
But yeah, I have a wild caught Amazon tree boa, white lipped python. Yeah, they're not, like I love having them. I've like sat there and fought with myself about it, and it's like I love them, but do I feel right that they were taken from the wild and now they're in an enclosure or whatever? And it's kind of just back and forth where I argue with myself as whether or not. But at least I know I give it as good as a home as it would have, So I don't know. As far as I love the attitude of them. It gives you something a little more of a challenge. Because Conrad, I always like challenges as far as this kind of stuff.
Well, one person that I can think of who used to import a lot of super dwarves and like crazy wild caught animals is Rodney, and I think he still has a bunch of tornates and Homoheris or whatever they're called, and
he's still producing tornates.
Yeah, but all the adult stuff is from wild caught, and they're crazy. From what I understand, those animals are psychotic. They're not pet friendly at all, and but that's pretty typical. I mean, wild caught retics are nasty animals. Yeah. So, but the wild caught super dwarf stuff, people were really marketing them like, hey, they're small retics, they're easier to take care of. But it's still, there's still the same kind of wild caught animal, and they do not make good pets, the wild caught ones.
Right. I mean, now like retics, I mean, you can captive bred retics, I think would definitely be in like, I think they make honestly great pets for the right people who know how to like work with them and read body language. Basically, if you can read your snake's body language, you can work with a retic. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Well, back then, like even 15 years ago, whenever you go to a reptile show, just seeing, I did have, this was good 10 years ago, was a wild caught. It was a mainland, and it hated, it was an asshole. But yeah, even in pet stores and stuff, you'd see wild caught stuff. Whenever I got my first boa, the guy had showed me these other ones that were wild caught. They hated life.
Yeah.
But as far as it seems like, it just more and more that they're captive bred, their whole attitude changes.
And especially being captive bred over many generations. I mean, a lot of those. I mean, those behaviors are genetic. I think and it only makes them survive. Better in the wild. A calm, passive animal in the wild is probably not going to last very long, right? I mean, an aggressive, defensive animal will probably have a better chance of surviving. So, but I think through many generations, you can kind of weed that stuff out. I mean, back in the day, we were talking that a lot of retics that were coming in were wild caught, and there was some captive bred stuff, but most of it you get, or they were farmed or something like that. But it's just they I don't know, man. They were considered mainly like for advanced keepers. Like if you wanted, what I mean. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you go to a pet store and you say, "Well, I want a python," normally they wouldn't point you over to reticulated pythons. They would say, "Here, go check out these corn snakes or something," or like a ball python. But nowadays, I think they are still considered for advanced. It's not really. I wouldn't say like the perfect first snake for somebody, but for somebody who's kept reptiles before and understands their behavior and can read them. Retics they're kind of like boas, I guess. I'm not the same level as a boa. In my opinion, I don't know what you guys think, but the bigger snakes, though, I see Jay, on his videos and stuff, and he's dealing with these monster-sized retics, and they're like trying to strike him and stuff. To me, that's cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to stress my animals out, and I don't want to get bit. You know what I mean? And for my job, I need to use my hands, and if I get bit, I can't work. You know what I mean? So I'm real cautious, with my animals. So, but yeah, dude, super dwarfs are I think they're pretty much the future of reticulated pythons. I mean, there'll be people out there that like the big snakes, but I think things are.
It seems like a lot of people that are into like carpet pythons and all that kind of stuff have migrated towards the super dwarf stuff.
I agree. Carpet pythons are cool. I mean, I remember I think albino carpet pythons haven't been around for very long.
Yeah.
I mean, even jaguar pythons, jaguar python, carpet pythons. Back in the day, those were like considered aggressive, but I think like the same. A lot of them were wild caught. But the really cool ones are like the dark, the really black, jet black ones with the bright yellow stripes. Those are pretty cool. But I mean, there's a few people out there doing some cool stuff with carpets, but retics, man, I don't know. It's like for some reason, a lot more genetic mutations have been discovered. I mean, I can't just think of all the different variants, So,
yeah.
But
like you said,
go ahead.
Berms, there really isn't many more. As far as berms, I get how that could. Now they came out with the pied berm, which I was shocked to see something.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. But as far as retics have probably just as much genetics as ball pythons nowadays, or probably still a little shy, but
it's getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's just, if carpet pythons had as many genetic mutations and variants that the retics have, I would probably keep carpet pythons because they're pretty cool. They're not like retics. So I'm willing to deal with the size of some of these animals to keep, to work with the genetics. So, if I had, my wife doesn't like to deal with the reptiles, so it'd be nice you know, if she did help me, it'd be great because I'd have a partner to help me. Or if I had a neighbor who was into reptiles to help me. But it's just me, you know, and I can't clean 30 cages every day, you know, so I got to keep it down with the numbers. I mean, at 30 retakes is a lot, but I only have like I have 4 snakes and I have 4 6-footers. You know, these are like my biggest snakes. That's all, you know. That's all I have as far as big animals, which is just good, you know.
Yeah, it's manageable. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and if you have too much, you know, then your animals suffer. And I think a lot of people, you know, there's sometimes there's a tendency for people to do that, and you know, they get really into it, and then next thing you know, they're like, damn, you know, I'm spending $300 a month on snake food, and you know, 5 hours every weekend cleaning all my snake cages. That sucks. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what you see a lot of people is where people buy a bunch of different stuff and they expect to breed, but nothing that they have goes together. And it's like I know how that feels. You know, you want to buy because I like that or I like this, but there's a lot as far as genetics, science. Something like I said, I'm glad I kind of paid attention to some of that stuff to know, you know, dominant, co-dominant, recessive, and how it all works. But there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm going to buy this and put it to this, and you're not going to get anything. So I see how people end up with a ton of stuff and nothing to pair it to.
Yeah, you know, I think when people start out too, they don't want to drop a bunch of money, you know, and they'll, or maybe, you know, they'll spend $600 on this nice snake or boa, whatever retic, but they'll put it in like a, whatever, 35-gallon tank, you know, fish tank. And oh well, I'll put that off giving a cage, you know, for 4 or 5 months, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think we're all kind of guilty of doing, you know, in one form. I mean, 35-gallon tank, whatever, 20, 30, 40-gallon fish tank, or a sweater box, you know, like a, you know, CB70 or whatever. What's the difference? But yeah,
I
I mean,
remember. I
go ahead.
remember when tanks were what everyone kept in back in the day. I mean,
You know, that's mainly if you went to a pet store, that's what they would sell you. You know, back then, before we had the internet and all that, it was whatever was readily available in front of you. I've seen some older wooden enclosures when I was younger, but
Oh yeah,
that was pretty much it.
uh, yeah, I've had plenty of you know, self-made wood cages. My first iguana, I had this like converted bird cage that converted in, you know, for reptiles. But yeah, I mean, when I found out about Vision cages, I was like, oh, these are nice. And living in LA, you know, they used to make them in the San Fernando Valley, and all you had to do is just drive out there and buy them, and they were you get a 622 for like $400. Now
Yeah,
they're
that's
crazy.
yeah. I know for the one I have on top, you can't see in the video. It's a Vision, and that's what my now monitor's in. And yeah, they're $980 for it's a was it
Yeah.
foot by I think it's 2.5 foot. It's crazy how much everything went up in price.
Well, I called them about getting wholesale pricing, and they were like, "Well, we can do free shipping." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so full price but free shipping."
Yeah,
I'll pass. It's all right. No,
yeah,
I have AP. I like AP. You know, the only thing about animal plastics is the time, you know, it takes for them to deliver. But and there's a few design flaws, but you know, I only have and only bought enough for what I need now. You know, I'm looking to, you know, like we all are, we're always looking to, you know, be caging or try to do something different or whatever. But when I move into a different situation, I've been looking at freedom breeders. They look pretty cool.
yeah.
At Vision cages, you know, my wife and I were looking at moving, you know, in northern Colorado, and I think Vision is stationed out in the Midwest, so that maybe I could rent a U-Haul and drive out and pick some cages up. I don't know. That'd be pretty good. But yeah, man. I got 6 animal, like larger animal plastic cages. I got 3-footer by 30-inch. I have 2 of those. I have a nice purple Jag, possible het snow, 37.5% super dwarf. So she's smaller, that I keep in there, and another super dwarf cross. But yeah, dude, one time I had to wait for like 4 or 5 months for my cage.
I started just building my own at one point. I found PVC at a local store, and went from there. Because it is, you could be waiting 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, nah, I need it, this week or whatever. We were talking, it'd be nice if there's more pet stores that sold stuff like that. You go into a pet store and you don't see nothing like that. You just have tanks. It'd be awesome to walk in and be like, oh, I need a 6-foot, PVC enclosure, and they have them there.
Right, and stack in the box, like you know what I mean. One that you put together yourself.
Yeah.
There's a couple places here in LA that do have that, but out like in Riverside, the stacks of PVC cages. But I haven't had a need for anything new in a while. But yeah, dude, it's like an endless. I could spend. I was looking at new cages. I'm like, damn. $3,000 for a rack of Freedom Breeder cages, the real big ones, the 62-inch ones. That's a lot. And like to have 3 or 4 of those, that's almost 10 grand. But yeah, that's why you breed the snakes, right? You breed the snakes, you sell them, and then you make money, and then you buy stuff like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's what, like, even where Brian Barczyk, like, people always talk shit on how he was. Yeah, but he put all of his money back into what he does. He kept on building it better and better, and that's what everyone does. Like Conrad, most of us started out with tanks, or I run one of the Facebook pages, Constrictors as Pets. I help moderate that, and I see a lot of people talk shit on people that have tanks and da da da. It's like you got to start somewhere. As long as they're doing the best job with that tank, there shouldn't be an issue. I don't like tanks anymore because I learned from them, and I found better ways to do stuff. But it's crazy on how bad people talk about tanks, and I get it. Like I see the whole, it doesn't hold the humidity as well, it doesn't hold the heat as well, and that's what you learn. Now those people, hopefully they learn from it, and then they buy something better for
Well, we all learn from our mistakes, and I made a mistake one time using a glass tank, 20-gallon or whatever it was. I kept. I mean, they're okay to hold stuff in, like whatever a hatchling retic but I had heat tape, under it was a glass bottom, and I think I just had newspaper as a substrate, and my rheostat malfunctioned or something, and it got really hot and it burned the snake, the belly. And I learned real quick, don't do that. The snake survived. I felt really bad. I was like, damn, I like burned this animal. It really sucks. And I took care of it, and it healed. It like didn't even scar. Like within a few months, a few sheds, it was like completely normal. Which I learned that retics are pretty tough animals. They can take a lot. But yeah, I mean they're okay. And I get what you're saying. I don't like to harp on people or like bag on people, put people down. I know a lot of some of these Facebook groups are pretty brutal, but I think a lot of people really, they get into something because they're interested and they want to learn something about whatever it is. And we get into reptiles because they're interesting and we learn stuff about them. Some people learn different things. Like for me, I like animal physiology, I like genetics, I like evolution, all that kind of stuff, and dealing with these animals, I get to learn more about them, and it piques my interest. And when somebody gets a reptile for their first time, and somebody says, "Well, you're an idiot, you're doing it wrong," and it kind of like turns them off, So yeah, I don't like to do that.
And then you'll see that snake posted on Craigslist or something that no longer wanted, or
that sucks, because then ultimately the animal suffers. I think it's good to promote a learning environment for people, and it's good for business too. There's a lot of people out there that don't know anything about retics, and when they find out about them, they're like, wow, you know, they're huge. But then, you know, you say, oh, super dwarf, and they're like, what's that? Oh, I can keep a retic that's, you know, going to stay around 10 feet. Yeah, or maybe even smaller. And, you know, it's good for business too, you know. Yeah.
Which is kind of scary part though too, is because you know people out there will label stuff as a super dwarf when it's not. Um, and that's a good thing is buy from reputable breeders as far as that goes. But you see it a lot. You know, you'll go around a reptile show and there's stuff marked, you know, whatever, 50% super dwarf or whatever. And you don't even know if that animal is truly super dwarf, you know, or what bloodline it came from.
I agree. And it's sad. It happens with a lot of other species of reptiles too. I think, you know, a lot of misrepresentation going on. There's a lot of scammers I noticed, like, since I've been in reptiles, I've seen a lot of low-life scumbags, you know, do some shitty things to people.
Put
But,
a het on something because it makes it worth more if it's het for this.
They just want to make money. Yeah, or they're flipping an animal and they'll sell it quicker if it's a super dwarf, whatever. Yeah, but you know, but you know, I can tell the difference. You know, just because I've been around, I've seen a lot of different types of super dwarf retics, and I've seen crosses, and I've seen people, you know, hey, look at this super dwarf that I got, blah 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 blah, and you're looking at it, and you're like, that's not even, that doesn't even have any super dwarf in it. If it does, it's like 10%. I mean, it doesn't even look like a 50% cross. And there's things you can see, you know, there's certain things in their pattern that kind of gives it away. But
even with worms.
Also, head stamps with like certain localities too.
you can just tell. I mean, honestly, they're hybrids. Okay, so a dwarf is a subspecies, right?
Right.
And super dwarfs are technically, I guess, by default would fall under the Jamp subspecies, but they could be their own. And then, you know, so you're crossing them over with mainland retics. You're gonna see, you just can tell. I know you guys can tell if you put, you know, one next to each other, you can just tell the difference. But I've seen stuff floating around like that, and you're right, you know. But what is a reputable breeder? I mean, there's a lot of people out there, you know, like you know, me and a lot of other people who don't do it full time, you know, selling reptiles full time. Then there's people who do, and you know, but I know what I'm dealing with, you know, and I if someone asks me, you know, it's like if I'm selling a super dwarf cross, you don't have to really ask me anything because I'll just put it out there. This is like, I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you where it's from. I'll tell you blah 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 blah. You know, there's nothing to hide. So there's things you can, warning signs, you know. There was a guy who was selling some monitors. He was on some Facebook monitor page. He was saying, I'm a farmer. I farm monitors. And I contacted him through private message, and he's like, yeah, he sent me his price list, and he had black dragons for like $350 or something crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, and I said, so do you import? And I started asking him about like, how do you know, how do you do it? What's your like routine? How do you do it? And he's like, no, I'll ship them straight to your house. And I'm like, well, no. I mean, you do what? And then I got really suspicious. Like, this guy's a scammer, totally just trying to scam me. So, yeah, you got to be careful out there.
Yeah.
It's tempting. I'm like, oh, dude, I'll buy a group of those. And I'm like, well, wait a minute.
It was like someone had told me, they're like, oh, I got a captive bred now monitor for $30. Like, that's not captive bred. You're looking at a larger price tag on something that's captive bred.
Yeah.
But yeah, people say anything to sell something, and you learn who those people are, and you just don't deal with them.
Very true.
I never like trash on many people, and it's more or less I won't buy from them. You know, that's my way of, all right, I just don't give them business.
Well, I think one thing that's gotten better over the years in the reptile hobby or community is it's gotten better at checking itself, you know. So if there are people out there who are scammers, you know, it used to be you were kind of screwed, you know, and you'd be word of mouth or whatever, you know. Now, you know, you can not, you report it to some, just make a thread on some Facebook page or whatever. There used to be the BOI. The BOI, I think, is non-existent. But that was
They,
kind of
they
a
still
crazy
they
place.
still have like feedback and inquiries or something now. So
Yeah. So it's kind of like a Better Business Bureau type reporting or Yelp or whatever, but it's gotten better. Morph Market, I think I really like Morph Market. You know, I was kind of skeptical when it came out, but I opened up an account and they wanted to see my ID. There was a lot more like identity verification, and I felt like okay, well, this is cool. I'm willing to go through this. I want to be doing business on here with other people, and I haven't really met. I mean, when I used to go on KingSnake, I'd get scammer emails all the time, Nigerian scammers, even fauna, but I haven't got any of that with Morph Market yet.
Yeah, no, Morph Market. I love Morph Market. As
Yeah.
far as it feels like a trustworthy, or even you could find the snake you want and then message the. You can go on Facebook and look them up to see,
Yeah.
what their other animals look like. Does it look like they take care of them?
Right.
Anything like that, and then you deal with them.
And they do rate businesses. There's a rating system, and I've actually had weird emails, some suspicious emails through Morph Market, and I've contacted their admin and asked them what I had to do, and they're really responsive about it. So but yeah, so it's cool. I see a bright future with reptiles, man. Hopefully this COVID thing gets done with. Shows will start happening again, and people, life will return to normal. That'd be nice. So
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely over it. I was never expecting, in a million years that we'd be going through all this. Yeah.
Well, before COVID hit, my wife and I were on vacation in Thailand, and we heard about it over there, and we're like, "Oh shit, man, we're not going to be able to get home." Yeah, definitely weirdness happening, but it's all good. My snakes are doing happy, so none of them have COVID. So
Oh, yeah. All right. So before we go, I wanted to ask. So dinosaurs is kind of like what got you into reptiles, and that explains like the paleontology side of your business as well. Did you want to touch on that aspect real
yeah,
quick?
sure. So for a while, I had gotten really interested in paleontology. I started volunteering for some museums, and I actually have a minor in geology, so I'm really into the science aspect of it. And it was a career move that I was actually going to do. And I'm in the medical field. That's where originally I was trained, and I decided to do a career change, and now I'm back into the medical field, but I kind of veered off. And so I've gone on quite a few field expeditions, and I've excavated, dinosaur fossils in New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Montana. In 2017, I was up with the University of Washington, and we were digging up a Tyrannosaurus Rex they found the year before. So I'm really into the field work, of paleontology. I love to go out and find fossils. So it's like another hobby of mine. It went from professional interest to more of a hobby, and now I collect fossils, and I sell them. I have connections in Morocco, and South Dakota and Montana. So fossils, they're cool things to buy and to have in your collection, or something to put in your house. But it's just mainly a side interest. But in 2012, I was on an expedition with a friend, a schoolmate, and we volunteered with a group out of Arizona on an expedition into New Mexico. And it's weird, like you go out on these expeditions and you're looking to find stuff, and sometimes you don't find anything until the last day. So that's what happened this time. And my friend and I discovered a new genus and species of tyrannosaur that totally new to science. And we knew it was really special when we found it. This was a long time ago, 2012, because in the area that we were at, nobody had ever found a tyrannosaur before. It was kind of a new and explored area. And so instantly we knew it was a new thing. And so that was really exciting. And yeah, so and my wife and I were going to be moving up into Colorado, and I'm going to get back into that. So I want to do, get more involved in the field work in the summer. Yeah.
That'll be
Yeah.
awesome.
So, yeah, you don't hear that very much. And it's crazy to think there's people out there that think dinosaurs never actually existed. It's like there's proof that they exist.
I've met a few, and I was like, my mind was blown because these are the same people that just. This guy believed the Earth was flat too, and like had a whole like he was trying to explain to me the Earth was flat, and dinosaurs weren't real, and it's a whole conspiracy theory. He told me to watch some YouTube video. I'm like, I'm not going down that wormhole. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
No,
like there's proof of stuff. You know.
there's
I
proof
learned a long
on
time ago, to once somebody starts asking questions like that, I don't really engage in those conversations anymore
Yeah.
because
right.
it usually leads to some kind of argument or some type of animosity or whatever. I respect other people's beliefs, and I know what I know, and I believe in science, and it's not really something you believe in; it's something you learn and you understand. But I see the world a lot differently, I think, than a lot of those kinds of people. So, but yeah, I've been into some interesting conversations too. I used to work in a museum where as a gallery interpreter, and part of your job is to talk about the exhibits, the fossils. And, if you're in the dinosaur hole, you talk to people have questions. What is that? Blah blah blah. But sometimes somebody will come up and say, do you are dinosaurs only 6,000 years old? Stuff like that, creationist type views. And some people just want to argue and try to prove you wrong or whatever. And it's like, after you do that a few times, you're like, look, I don't, cool. Dinosaurs are 6,000 years old. If that's what you want to think, that's right. I don't want to argue it. I know what I know. And, I see life on our planet.
Evolution happened in a very short time span. Is what had happened.
Well, if somebody thinks that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, which that's what it supposedly says in the Bible, you can't really believe in evolution. I guess maybe in a version of it, but yeah. Anyway, that's I don't like to debate with people about that. But
Right. I feel you. I'm atheist, and that's because I believe in evolution and science.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm a science-based person.
I
And
met some atheists. I met some atheists that were just as bad as some far right, Christians. And but it's cool, man. People should be able to believe whatever they want, and as long as it makes you happy, that's cool. I'm a spiritual person. I'm not religious, but some people, like I've met some people who they're old world geologists. Just they believe in old world, some type of old world theory, and like the Earth really is 4 billion years old, but God created it, and da 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 da. Like there's some type of biblical aspect to it, Or I've talked to people who think that the Grand Canyon was formed by Noah's flood, and it's like no, science says no, it wasn't. So but for me, when I learn about this stuff, it helps me understand the world better, and it makes me, it just makes me feel like puts me in my place on this earth. You know what I mean? Like to understand that kind of stuff, you see it in a different perspective. So, but yeah, dude, I've been. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but recently I had some people from Mormon Christian get a hold of me, missionaries from the Mormon religion, and they were trying to talk with me. And I told them right off the get, I said, I'm not a religious person. I said, they actually ended up coming over, and ever since, like they try and come over weekly just to like come chat and hang out with the reptiles. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
It actually turned out to be really cool.
You posted something on Facebook. It was two young kids, like they dress like Mormons. They're all
yeah, that was that.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's awesome.
And they've I mean, one of them at least comes back weekly because they do travel around a lot. So you normally bring someone different with them each time. So it's definitely interesting to like talk to them and stuff. But
Right. And the reptiles, it's just about the reptiles. It's not your religion or this, your beliefs. It's like the wonder, the beauty of the animals. Like you're fascinated with the reptiles, and you forget about all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you make friends. That's a cool thing
Brings
too.
so many different people together. All the different beliefs.
Yeah.
That's all put on the side, and I always, whatever makes people happy, just don't ever push your beliefs on me.
right.
So I want to explain something about my business name, Hell Creek. I lived in Montana for a little while, and I've met with people who say, the devil put dinosaurs in the ground to confuse people, all that stuff. So there's a place in Montana. It's called the Hell Creek Formation. It's a geological formation, and that's where you find T-Rex and Triceratops and all that other stuff. And the reason why it's called Hell Creek is it's hot. It's hot in the summer, really effing hot. And there's I forget which river that goes through. I think it's the Missouri River that goes up there through Fort Peck. But that's right, traditionally where the Hell Creek is. And there's a lot of expeditions to that area in the late 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s. From paleontologists from the East Coast coming out here. During the expansion, the railroad was coming out here and they were finding fossils. So it picked up that name, and for me, I think it's cool. There's a lot of reptiles that come from the Hell Creek. There's alligators, turtles, tortoises, all these fossils that you can find. And technically, dinosaurs are reptiles too. So, but yeah, that's where I picked the name. I think dinosaurs and reptiles kind of go together. And I noticed when I was really into paleontology and when I was really active, in the museums, people go there to learn stuff, and dinosaurs are a perfect way to teach science to people. And reptiles are really interesting to the public, and that's another way for for people to learn science. So the two kind of come together, and yeah, so to me it just worked out. So that's instead of saying Brian Watkins Reptiles, I like Hell Creek better. A lot of people
Right.
they name it after themselves. So that's just
Yeah, you see that way too often. No one comes up with anything original. It's their name and then exotics or reptiles,
right.
whatever.
Well, I think, see, I want to get out. I want to do other stuff besides retics. So to me, like I started out with Hell Creek herpetoculture. I'm like, okay, well that sounds cool. People who are into herbs know what herpetoculture is, but it's a long name. It's hard to spell. And then I was like, well, reptiles is obviously, it goes a lot better. But yeah, man. I'm just starting out, and I hopefully I'm going to keep doing this, and maybe one day it'll turn into something like a full-time gig. That would be cool. But it's a fun thing to do. I love my animals. I love doing this, and that's all it is. You know what I mean? So if I can make money off it, then it's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well, yeah. I think we're gonna wrap it up on that note, man. We definitely appreciate you coming out. Well, joining us tonight, coming on, not out.
Right on. No, thanks for inviting me on your your radio channel. This is on YouTube, right? Is that where
Yeah.
this is going to be posted?
Yeah,
Cool.
the link will be there, I think, after like 12 hours after it's streamed. It always goes live and then takes like YouTube to they gotta rerun it back through and process it before they finalize it and publish it again. But yeah, I'll be back up. And but typically we do go live on Twitch and Facebook as well, but I haven't been able to figure out OBS lately. So it's kind of been
Technology.
fun. Yeah, technology's fun.
Maybe we'll talk again next year or something.
Oh, for sure.
Everyone progresses. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So
we try and
you sell the what do you want to call it? Things behind you.
process.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
fossils. Yeah,
So-
I did play blank.
I sell reptile. I sell casts, so replicas. I have a friend who's really good. He makes reproductions. So I can get claws and tracks and all kinds of cool stuff. But I get a lot of real fossils too. Right now, I get a lot of teeth, theropod teeth, spinosaurs, Carcharodontosaurs. T-Rex teeth are harder to come by and they're a bit more expensive. When I move up to Colorado and when COVID ends, I'll have a lot more stuff available. But yeah, I mean, on my website, hellcreekreptiles.com, I have some stuff for sale, some teeth, and I only have 2 snakes left. After the end of the season. So, but yeah, dude, I can't wait. January, gonna get some more eggs. These 2 other snakes should be producing, and hopefully, I'll have a lot of snakes for sale. So,
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Hopefully
yeah,
in
dude,
spring you'll be
new
shipping
fossils.
snakes out again.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll cook you up with some cool stuff.
yeah. No, awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely look you up.
All right, guys.
All right, you have a good night, man.
Till
All right,
next.
nice talking to you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, nice talking to you too.
Later.
Later. All right. So, what are your plans for the night?
Feed snakes.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I might be online in a little bit, maybe.
All right. Well, let me know if you end up coming on.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of rushing. I'm like, I realized it was after 9. I'm like, oh my God. But
Dude, he's falling asleep in my.
yeah, dude, I've been rushing around today. Today's been said I didn't wake up till late, and yeah. But
Yeah. You've had weird.
late start and rush to get everything done. So.
All right. Well, I'll let you finish knocking out your shit.
Yep.
I even told them, I'm like, my co-host Josh is probably running a few minutes late, because I tried calling you like 5 minutes before we went live.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think he's probably rushing to get shit done.
Yep. Yeah. Today's been fun. So, but I made it.
Yeah, I know the cool thing. This is starting to grow back too since your incident.
You'll have some one day.
Yeah.
Whenever I send you a snake, I'm gonna send you some beard growth oil there.
Do you actually use that?
It works. I have Steve try the stuff. You guys don't have Giant Eagle by you. I'll send you the brand. It works. It helps because before I didn't have there were spots that used to be missing. This was years ago, and no, it fills in. You might actually be able to, maybe one day our live viewers will be able to see you with a full face of beard or full beard. Dude, my mind's been out of here. All right. So on that note,
We're the fuck out. Later.
Later.